I want to tell you about a kid who bought Ethereum at 30 cents when he was 16 years old. A kid who dropped out of NYU after one semester with no plan, no company, nothing to show for it. A kid who spent years living in isolation, just reading, thinking, trying to figure out what the hell he was going to do with his life. And then one day, in 2020, this kid finds himself broke in Manhattan, running out of money, working out of a makeshift office in his bathroom. And from that bathroom, he builds something that would correctly predict one of the most consequential elections in American history, when every single traditional poll got it wrong. And just 5 years later, the New York Stock Exchange invests $2 billion in his company, valuing it at $9 billion, making him the youngest self-made billionaire on the planet at 27 years old. His name is Shayne Coplan, and this is the story of Polymarket. I discovered Shayne through the 2024 election. Like millions of people, I was watching the election coverage, and everybody kept talking about Polymarket. The traditional polls were saying it was too close to call. The pundits were hedging. The experts were uncertain. But Polymarket was saying Trump had a 70% chance of winning. And when the results came in, Polymarket was right. Not just right, but spectacularly right. More accurate than any poll, any pundit, any expert. And I thought, who built this? Who had the audacity to create a platform that would challenge the entire infrastructure of how we predict the future? So I went down the rabbit hole. I spent days consuming everything I could find about Shayne Coplan and Polymarket. And what I found was one of the most inspiring entrepreneurial stories I've encountered. This is a story about conviction, about betting everything on an idea when you have nothing, about building something in complete obscurity while the world ignores you. And then, when everyone finally pays attention, being vindicated in the most public way possible. Let me start with where this all begins, because Shayne's origin story tells you everything you need to know about how he thinks. Shayne Coplan was born in 1998, raised on the Upper West Side of New York City. His mother taught film at NYU. He grew up in this intellectually vibrant environment. But here's what's fascinating. Even though he grew up in a wealthy area of Manhattan, Shayne has this quote that stuck with me. He said, "Growing up in New York is different. You know, everything is relative." This made him realize his middle-class identity early on and sparked what he calls a strong desire to make money. Think about that. Even as a kid, he understood that wealth was relative. He wasn't satisfied with comfortable. He wanted more. And this desire drove him to explore what he calls various grey markets. He was downloading copyright-free music on BitTorrent, trading fingerboards with YouTubers, sometimes getting screwed over when people didn't follow through. These early experiences gave him a deep understanding of the importance of trust in markets. He's learning about market dynamics, about trust, about peer-to-peer transactions before he's even in high school. But here's where it gets really interesting. When Shayne was 15 years old, he discovered cryptocurrency. This is 2013, 2014. Bitcoin is still this weird internet money that most people think is for criminals. And Shayne becomes obsessed. Then in 2014, when Ethereum launches its initial coin offering, Shayne participates. He's 16 years old. He spent $150 to buy Ethereum tokens at 30 cents each. Those tokens are now worth over $1 million. But here's what's important. It's not that he got lucky. It's that, at 16 years old, he had the intellectual curiosity and conviction to bet on a technology that almost nobody understood. He became one of the youngest participants in the Ethereum ICO. That's not luck. That's vision. That's seeing something everyone else is missing. So Shayne finishes high school. And here's a detail I love. In his high school graduation summary, he wrote, "I want to thank SparkNotes, caffeine, and Wikipedia. That tells you everything." He's not playing the traditional game. He's not pretending to be someone he's not. He's hacking his way through, finding the shortcuts, focusing on what actually matters. Then he enrolls at NYU to study computer science. But here's what happens. Unlike many famous college dropouts who leave because they have a clear vision, a company they're building, Shayne drops out after just one semester with no plan. He later said he had not yet figured out what he wanted to do. He just felt that school was not suitable for him. So he's 18, 19 years old, no degree, no company, no clear direction. And for the next few years, he lives what he describes as an isolated life, immersed in reading and trying new things to find entrepreneurial inspiration. This is such a critical period. This is Shayne in the wilderness. He's not networking at conferences. He's not building startups and failing fast. He's thinking. He's reading. He's trying to understand the world at a fundamental level. And during this exploration, Shayne becomes disappointed with the crypto space. He thought many startups lacked innovation. He saw what he called disappointing crypto scams everywhere. He's getting disillusioned, but he keeps reading. And two works change everything for him. The first is Friedrich Hayek's essay, The Use of Knowledge in Society, from 1945. This essay is the philosophical foundation of prediction markets. Hayek's insight was disarmingly simple but profound. No single mind, institution, or government could ever hold all the knowledge needed for efficient decision-making. Information exists in fragments, dispersed among millions of people. A farmer seeing weather shifts, a shopkeeper tracking changing habits, a miner sensing shortages before others do. And Hayek realized that markets are the mechanism that stitches those fragments together. Prices aren't mere numbers, they are signals transmitting knowledge faster than any planner or committee ever could. The second influence was Robin Hanson, a George Mason University professor who pioneered the concept of futarchy and modern prediction markets. Hanson's idea was that we should vote on values but bet on beliefs, that the best way to aggregate information about the future is through markets, where people have financial skin in the game, where being wrong costs you money. This creates an incentive structure that forces people to be honest about what they actually believe, not what they want to believe or what sounds good. Shayne is reading this stuff, and something clicks. He sees the potential. He understands that if you can create markets for information, if you can harness the wisdom of crowds with proper incentive structures, you can create something more accurate than any expert, any committee, any centralized authority. This is the seed of Polymarket. But it's still just an idea. Remember, Shayne is broke. He's in his early 20s. He's living in Manhattan trying to figure out how to pay rent. At one point, he's appraising his belongings to cover rent during early product development. He has nothing. Then COVID hits. It's 2020. The world shuts down. And Shayne asks himself the same questions everyone is asking. When is this going to end? When's the vaccine going to be ready? When is shelter in place going to be over? But instead of just wondering, he thinks about how prediction markets could answer these questions. He starts exploring existing platforms like Augur, which launched in 2015 but never gained real traction, and he decides to build his own. Here's what I love about this moment. Shayne launches Polymarket from his bathroom. Yes, you read that right. He set up a makeshift office in his bathroom. He's solo founder. He's running out of money. He has no team, no resources, nothing. And he starts building. He later posted on Twitter, 2020, running out of money, solo founder, HQ in my makeshift bathroom office. Little did I know, Polymarket was going to change the world. Think about the conviction that requires. You're alone in your bathroom, broke, with an idea that most people would think is crazy. Building a crypto-based prediction market when crypto is still widely seen as a scam. Creating a platform to bet on future events when online betting is mostly illegal in the United States, and you just keep building. Day after day, night after night, alone in that bathroom. This reminds me of so many other great founders. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak building Apple in a garage. Jensen Huang developing NVIDIA's early ideas at Denny's. There's something about constraint that forces clarity. When you have nothing, you can't hide behind resources. You have to build something that actually works, something people actually want. And Shayne did. He launched Polymarket in mid-2020 on the Polygon blockchain. He chose to use USDC, a stablecoin, for trading. No complex tokens, no elaborate tokenomics. Just a simple system where you can trade yes or no shares on future events. Each market has named resolution sources in advance, enabling deterministic settlement once the outcome is confirmed. The platform emphasized precise wording, named resolution sources, and straightforward adjudication for contested outcomes. From the beginning, Shayne kept a minimal media profile. He wasn't trying to be famous. He was trying to build something useful. And here's where the story gets really interesting. For the first few years, Polymarket is this niche thing. It's crypto traders betting on crypto prices and esports. The volume is small. Most people have never heard of it. But in 2022, something happens that could have destroyed the company. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission comes after Polymarket. They say the platform is operating an illegal, unregistered event market, that they're allowing people to bet on future events without proper regulatory approval. Polymarket settles. They agree to pay a $1.4 million penalty, and they agree to block all United States users from accessing the platform. This is devastating. Your biggest potential market, the United States, is now off limits. You've been fined. You've been publicly labeled as operating illegally. Most founders would give up, would shut down, would move on to something else. But not Shayne. He keeps building. He moves the company operations offshore. He blocks US IP addresses from accessing the site, and he continues developing the platform. Because he believes in the mission. He believes that prediction markets are the future of information aggregation, that they can cut through the noise, the bias, the manipulation that plagues traditional media and polling, that they represent a better way to understand the world. And then comes 2024, the year everything changes. The year Polymarket goes from obscure crypto platform to mainstream phenomenon. It starts with Biden. In June 2024, there's the presidential debate. Biden's performance is disastrous. Everyone watching can see he's struggling. But the mainstream media is downplaying it. The Democratic establishment is saying he's fine, he's staying in the race, everything is under control. But Polymarket tells a different story. Even before the debate, traders on Polymarket were saying there was a 20 to 25% chance Biden would drop out of the race. After the debate, that number starts climbing. 40%, 50%, 60%. 3 days before Biden actually announces he's dropping out, Polymarket has the odds at almost 90%. The market knew. While the pundits were lying to themselves, while the pollsters were hedging their bets, while the media was pushing the official narrative, Polymarket was aggregating real information from people with real money at stake. And it was right. Then there's the vice presidential selection. Polymarket showed J.D. Vance at 68% the day before Trump announced him as his running mate. Again, ahead of the pundits, ahead of the political insiders. The market knew. This is when people start paying attention. This is when Polymarket becomes part of the conversation. Trading volume surges. In July 2024, Polymarket sees $380 million in trading volume, up from $110 million the month before. Users are flooding onto the platform. And then comes the general election. This is where Polymarket makes its defining prediction. In early October, Polymarket starts showing Trump with better odds of winning. While traditional polls are calling it a toss-up, while Nate Silver's models are giving Harris a slight edge, Polymarket is increasingly confident in a Trump victory. By mid-October, Trump is at 60% on Polymarket. By the end of October, he's at 70%. The gap keeps widening, and the establishment freaks out. Journalists write articles questioning Polymarket's accuracy. They point to so-called whales, large bettors placing big bets on Trump. They accuse the platform of being manipulated, of being biased, of being unreliable. Nate Silver, who had recently joined Polymarket as an advisor, says the shift toward Trump is a larger swing than is justified. The smart money, the experts, they all think Polymarket is wrong. But Shayne and his team stand by the data. They trust the market. They trust the wisdom of crowds. They believe that when you aggregate the opinions of tens of thousands of people who have money at stake, who lose real dollars if they're wrong, you get something closer to truth than any individual expert or model can provide. And then election night comes. The results start coming in. And Polymarket is vindicated. Trump doesn't just win. He wins decisively. He wins the popular vote. He wins all the swing states. It's not even close. And Polymarket called it, not just correctly, but with stunning accuracy. While the polls were saying too close to call, Polymarket was saying 70% Trump. And it was right. Shayne posts on Twitter the next day. Make no mistake, Polymarket single-handedly called the election before anything else. The global truth machine is here, powered by the people. And he's not being arrogant, he's stating a fact. Polymarket aggregated information better than any pollster, any pundit, any expert. It proved that markets, when properly structured, are the most powerful information processing machines we have. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. 1 week after the election, at 6 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, Shayne is woken up by loud banging on his door. It's the FBI. Numerous agents raid his Manhattan apartment. They seize his phone. They seize his electronic devices. They search his home. Shayne is 26 years old. He's not arrested. He's not charged with anything. But he's being investigated. The official explanation is that the Department of Justice is investigating whether Polymarket violated the 2022 settlement by allowing U.S. users to access the platform through VPNs. But the timing is suspicious. Polymarket just correctly predicted the election that the outgoing administration lost. And now, in the final weeks before the new administration takes over, the FBI raids the founder's home. Shayne posts on Twitter later that day. New phone, who dis? Classic Gen Z humor in the face of government intimidation. Then he posts something more serious. It's discouraging that the current administration would seek a last-ditch effort to go after companies they deem to be associated with political opponents. We are deeply committed to being nonpartisan, and today is no different, but the incumbents should do some self-reflecting. A Polymarket spokesperson calls it obvious political retribution by the outgoing administration against Polymarket for providing a market that correctly called the 2024 presidential election. The raid draws massive backlash from the tech community. Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, tweets, "This will backfire. They just made Polymarket even more powerful." Elon Musk tweets, "This seems messed up." For Shayne, this must have been terrifying. You're 26 years old. You've just achieved your life's biggest success. You've built something that works, that matters, that proved itself on the biggest stage. And the federal government kicks down your door at dawn and seizes your devices. But Shayne doesn't buckle. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't shut down. He keeps building. And here's where the story becomes a redemption arc. In July 2025, both the Department of Justice and the CFTC dropped their investigations. No charges, no fines, nothing. Polymarket is cleared. And better yet, Polymarket announces that it has acquired QCEX, a CFTC licensed derivatives exchange and clearinghouse. This gives Polymarket legal grounds to operate in the United States. The platform that was raided, that was investigated, that was accused of operating illegally, is now fully compliant, fully legal, fully vindicated. And the growth accelerates. In August 2025, Shayne names Donald Trump Jr. to Polymarket's advisory board. The new administration is pro-innovation, pro-crypto, pro-Polymarket. The regulatory environment that tried to destroy the company is gone, replaced by one that wants to support it. And then in October 2025, the validation that makes everything worth it. Intercontinental Exchange, the company that owns the New York Stock Exchange, one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world, invests $2 billion in Polymarket. The deal values the company at $9 billion post-money. Shayne Coplan, the kid who dropped out of college, who spent years in isolation trying to figure out what to do, who built his company in a bathroom while running out of money, is now worth approximately $1 billion. At 27 years old, he becomes the youngest self-made billionaire in the world, according to Bloomberg. And Polymarket gets integrated into the New York Stock Exchange. The data from Polymarket will be used by investors and traders to get an edge. The platform that started in a bathroom is now part of the infrastructure of global finance. Shayne posts on Twitter, "Against all odds." Just those 3 words. And it's perfect, because that's exactly what this is. A story about building against all odds. About being right when everyone said you were wrong. About persisting when every rational person would have given up. Let me tell you what I think makes this story so powerful. First, it's about conviction. Shayne believed in prediction markets when almost nobody else did. He believed in them enough to spend years building in obscurity, to work alone out of his bathroom, to persist through regulatory attacks, to stand by his platform when journalists and experts were saying it was wrong. This is what real conviction looks like. It's not loud, it's not arrogant, it's just persistent, quiet certainty that you're building something that matters. Second, it's about timing. Shayne started building Polymarket in 2020, during COVID, when everyone was asking questions about the future. He built through the regulatory challenges of 2022, and he was positioned perfectly for 2024, when the election created unprecedented demand for accurate predictions. But timing isn't just luck. Timing is being ready when the moment comes. Shayne was ready because he'd been building for 4 years, because he'd refused to give up, because he'd created something that worked. Third, it's about the power of markets. This is the deeper lesson. Hayek was right. Hansen was right. When you create proper incentive structures, when you give people skin in the game, when you aggregate diverse opinions through price discovery, you get something more accurate than any centralized authority can provide. Polymarket proved this on the biggest possible stage. It beat the polls, it beat the pundits, it beat the experts. Why? Because the market had better information. The participants on Polymarket weren't just guessing. They were analyzing data, following trends, aggregating information from multiple sources. And they had money at stake. If they were wrong, they lost. That incentive structure forced honesty, forced accuracy, and produced a better signal than any traditional method. Fourth, it's about building in public. Polymarket is completely transparent. Every trade is on-chain. Every market is public. You can see exactly what people are betting on and what the odds are in real time. This transparency is what gives it credibility. You can't manipulate it without being seen. You can't fake the data. It's all there for anyone to verify. This transparency is the future. In a world of fake news, of manipulated polls, of biased media, transparent markets might be our best tool for finding truth. Fifth, it's about the entrepreneurial mindset. Shayne embodies what I love about great founders. He started with nothing. He dropped out of college. He spent years in the wilderness. He built alone. He faced massive obstacles. Regulatory attacks, FBI raids, public skepticism. And he never gave up. He just kept building. This is what separates people who change the world from people who just talk about it. Great founders have this almost irrational persistence. They keep going when everyone else would stop. They believe when everyone else doubts. They build when everyone else walks away. Let me also talk about what Shayne got right strategically. When he launched Polymarket, he made some crucial decisions that determined success or failure. First, he chose simplicity. No complex token economics, no governance tokens, just USDC, a stablecoin that's easy to understand. You bet yes or no on an outcome. If you're right, you win. If you're wrong, you lose. Simple. This simplicity made the platform accessible. You didn't need to understand blockchain or crypto. You just needed to understand betting. Second, he focused on high-interest markets. From the beginning, Shayne curated markets that people actually cared about. Elections, sports, major news events. He wasn't trying to be everything to everyone. He was focusing on markets where there was real demand for prediction. Third, he emphasized accuracy and resolution. Every market had clear resolution sources defined in advance. When the event happened, the market resolved based on those predetermined sources. No ambiguity, no arguing about outcomes. This created trust. People knew that if they won, they'd get paid. Fourth, he built on Polygon, not Ethereum mainnet. This was a technical decision, but a crucial one. Polygon transactions are fast and cheap. If he'd built on Ethereum mainnet, transaction fees would have made small bets impractical. By using Polygon, he made the platform usable for regular people, not just crypto whales. Fifth, he stayed lean. Even as Polymarket grew, Shayne didn't go on a hiring spree. He kept the team small and focused. This meant lower burn rate, more runway, more time to figure things out, and it meant maintaining the culture of building that defined the early days. Now let me talk about what happens next, because this is where it gets really interesting. Polymarket is valued at $9 billion, but it's not profitable yet. It doesn't charge fees on trades. It gives away its main product, the predictions, for free. So how does it make money? Shayne's vision is to become infrastructure, to be the place where the world comes to understand what's going to happen. Right now, hundreds of thousands trade on Polymarket and tens of millions look at the odds. Shayne's goal is 1 billion people. And if you can become the default place where 1 billion people come to understand the future, the monetization opportunities are endless. Data licensing. That's already happening with the NYSE deal. Institutions will pay for access to Polymarket data because it's more accurate than alternatives. API access. Developers can build applications on top of Polymarket data. Media partnerships. News organizations can integrate Polymarket predictions into their coverage. And eventually, maybe, transaction fees. But only once the platform is so valuable that a small fee doesn't drive users away. The deeper opportunity is changing how society makes decisions. Right now, we rely on polls, expert opinions, and punditry to understand the future. These methods are flawed. Polls are expensive, slow, and often wrong. Experts have biases and blind spots. Pundits have incentives to be interesting rather than accurate. Prediction markets fix all of this. They're real-time. They aggregate diverse opinions. They have built-in incentive structures that reward accuracy. And they're transparent. If Polymarket can become the default way we predict the future, it changes everything. Corporate strategy. Instead of hiring expensive consultants, companies can create markets to forecast product success or market trends. Policy decisions. Governments can use prediction markets to understand the likely impact of different policies. Personal decisions. Individuals can use prediction markets to inform major life choices. The potential is enormous, but there are challenges. The regulatory environment, even with the new administration, remains uncertain. Different countries have different gambling laws. Polymarket has already been blocked in Switzerland, France, Poland, and Singapore. The company has to navigate a complex patchwork of international regulations. There's also the manipulation concern. While Polymarket has systems to detect and prevent manipulation, large players can influence markets. The so-called Trump whale who bet millions and won $85 million, was that insider information or just conviction? We don't know. These edge cases create uncertainty. And there's the question of what happens when the election cycle is over. Trading volume on Polymarket surged around the 2024 election. Will it maintain that momentum, or will it drop significantly? Shayne seems to understand this challenge. He's expanding into sports markets, financial markets, and cultural events. The goal is to create year-round engagement, not just election spikes. But I think Shayne will figure it out. Why? Because he's already demonstrated the core skill of great entrepreneurs. The ability to adapt, to persist, to build through obstacles. He built in a bathroom when he had nothing. He built through regulatory attacks. He built through an FBI raid. He built when everyone said he was wrong. And he was right. That track record tells you something. It tells you this person has what it takes to build something that lasts. Let me also talk about what we can learn from this story. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're building something, here are the lessons. First, conviction matters more than resources. Shayne started with nothing. No money, no team, no connections. But he had conviction. He believed prediction markets were the future. And that conviction carried him through years of obscurity, through regulatory attacks, through public skepticism. Resources help. But conviction is what keeps you going when resources run out. Second, timing is about being ready. Shayne didn't get lucky with timing. He created his own luck by building for years before the moment came. When 2024 arrived and everyone wanted accurate election predictions, Polymarket was there, ready, proven, working. You can't control when your moment comes, but you can control whether you're ready when it does. Third, simplicity wins. Polymarket succeeded partly because it's simple. Bet on an outcome. Win or lose. That's it. No complex tokens, no elaborate mechanisms, just a simple, understandable product. Too many founders overcomplicate. They think complexity equals innovation. But often simplicity is the real innovation. Making something complex simple, that's hard. That's valuable. Fourth, build in public. Polymarket's transparency is a competitive advantage. Because everything is on-chain, verifiable public, it has credibility that opaque alternatives lack. In an age of mistrust, transparency is power. Fifth, focus matters. Shayne didn't try to build prediction markets for everything. He focused on high-interest events, elections, sports, major news. This focus created liquidity, which created accuracy, which created trust, which created more users, which created more liquidity. That flywheel only works if you focus. Sixth, persistence beats everything. How many times could Shayne have given up? When he was broke in his bathroom, when regulators fined him, when the FBI raided his apartment, when experts said his platform was wrong. But he never gave up. He just kept building. And that persistence is what separates people who succeed from people who don't. Everyone faces obstacles. Winners keep going. Seventh, markets work. This is the philosophical lesson. When you create proper incentive structures, markets aggregate information better than any centralized alternative. This is true in finance. It's true in prediction markets. It's probably true in many other domains we haven't explored yet. The lesson is, trust markets with proper incentives over centralized experts. Now, let me tell you why I think this story matters beyond just business. Polymarket represents something bigger. It represents a shift in how we understand truth and information. For decades, we've relied on gatekeepers to tell us what's happening and what's going to happen. News media, polling organizations, expert analysts. These gatekeepers have massive power. They shape what we believe about the world. But they're flawed. The media has biases, both ideological and structural. They need clicks, so they sensationalize. Polls are expensive and slow and often wrong. They're based on small samples that may not represent the population. Experts have blind spots and conflicts of interest. They're incentivized to be interesting rather than accurate. Polymarket offers an alternative. A decentralized, transparent, incentive-aligned system for aggregating information. It's not perfect, but it's often more accurate than the alternatives, and that's profound. Because if we can create better systems for understanding the world, for predicting the future, for finding truth, we can make better decisions, better business decisions, better policy decisions, better personal decisions. This is what Shayne is building, not just a betting platform, a truth machine, a system for cutting through the noise and finding signal. And if he succeeds, if Polymarket becomes the default way the world predicts the future, he won't just have built a billion-dollar company. He'll have changed how humanity processes information. Let me tell you one more thing that strikes me about this story. Shayne is 27 years old. He's younger than Facebook when it went public. He's younger than Google when it went public. He's younger than most successful founders when they achieved their big wins. And he did it without pedigree. He didn't go to Stanford. He didn't work at Google or Facebook. He didn't have rich parents or powerful connections. He was just a kid from New York who taught himself about crypto, who read economics and philosophy, who had an idea and the conviction to pursue it. This is the promise of entrepreneurship, that anyone, anywhere, with an idea and the willingness to work, can build something that matters, can change the world, can create value. Shayne embodies this. He's proof that you don't need permission, you don't need credentials, you don't need resources. You need conviction, persistence, and the willingness to build when everyone else is doubting. And you need to be right. That's the catch. Shayne was right about prediction markets. He was right about crypto. He was right about the 2024 election. Being right doesn't guarantee success, but being consistently wrong guarantees failure. And being right at the crucial moments when everyone else is wrong, that's when you break through. So where does this leave us? Polymarket is now valued at $9 billion. Shayne is a billionaire at 27. The platform is integrated with the New York Stock Exchange. It's gone from a bathroom in Manhattan to the infrastructure of global finance in 5 years. But this is just the beginning. The prediction market industry is still tiny. Polymarket's lifetime trading volume is around $18 billion. That sounds like a lot, but it's nothing compared to traditional financial markets. The New York Stock Exchange alone trades $50 to $80 billion per day, so there's enormous room for growth. If Shayne can expand into new markets, new countries, new types of predictions, Polymarket could be 10 times, 50 times, 100 times bigger than it is today. And if the vision is realized, if prediction markets become the default way society forecasts the future, Polymarket could be one of the most important companies in the world. Not just valuable, important. Because it would be infrastructure for how we understand reality. That's what Shayne is building toward. Not just a company, a new way of knowing, a system for aggregating human knowledge and belief into actionable predictions, a truth machine. Let me close with this. I started by telling you about a kid who bought Ethereum at 30 cents, who dropped out of college, who spent years in isolation, who built a company in his bathroom while running out of money, who persisted through regulatory attacks and an FBI raid, who was right when everyone said he was wrong. This is Shayne Coplan. This is the story of Polymarket. And it's a story about conviction, about building what you believe in even when no one else believes, about persistence in the face of obstacles, about simplicity, transparency, and the power of markets, about being ready when your moment comes, about proving the doubters wrong. This is an entrepreneurial story, but it's also a philosophical story. It's about the nature of knowledge and truth, about how we understand the world, about whether decentralized systems can outperform centralized authorities. And Polymarket has answered that question, at least partially. Yes, they can. When properly structured, markets with the right incentives can aggregate information better than any expert or committee or institution. That's not just a business insight. That's a profound truth about how the world works. And Shayne built a platform to prove it. So what can you take away from this? If you're building something, anything, remember this. Shayne started with nothing but an idea and conviction. He built alone in a bathroom. He faced massive obstacles. He was attacked, doubted, investigated. And he never gave up. He just kept building. And now he's 27 years old, a billionaire, and he's changed how the world predicts the future. That's possible for you too. Not the specific outcomes, but the possibility. The possibility that your idea, your conviction, your persistence can create something that matters. That changes the world. That builds value. You don't need permission. You don't need credentials. You need conviction, a willingness to work, and the courage to build when everyone else is doubting. And you need to be right. Work to be right. Study, learn, test your assumptions. Because conviction without accuracy is just stubbornness. But conviction combined with being right, that's unstoppable. That's what changes the world. That's Shayne Coplan. That's Polymarket. And that's the story I wanted to share with you today. Against all odds. Just those 3 words. Remember them. Because that's what building something great looks like. Going against all odds. Persisting when everyone doubts. And proving you were right all along. If you want to dive deeper into this story, I recommend reading the interviews with Shayne, particularly the 60 Minutes piece and the Fortune articles. Check out Polymarket itself and see how prediction markets work. Read Hayek's essay The Use of Knowledge in Society. Read about Robin Hanson's work on futarchy. Understand the philosophical foundations of what Shayne built. Because Polymarket isn't just a company, it's an idea made real, an idea about how we can use markets to understand the world better. And that idea is going to keep growing. Keep changing how we think about prediction and truth and information. This is just the beginning. Shayne is 27. Polymarket is 5 years old. The best is yet to come. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Against all odds. That's the story. That's the lesson. That's what it takes to build something that matters. Thank you for listening. If you found this valuable, share it with someone who's building something, who needs to hear that persistence pays off, that conviction matters, that it's possible to start with nothing and build something extraordinary, and keep building your own thing, whatever it is, because the world needs more people like Shayne.